Hello and welcome to this special episode of my podcast. I'm Tarn, your host, and I'm thrilled to have you join me today. My own path has been filled with learning and self-discovery, and through this podcast, I hope to share insights and stories that resonate with you. Our first guest, Jaskarn, shares her profound insights and personal experiences as being a mental health coach, making this conversation both enlightening and inspiring. I hope you guys enjoy.
Hello? Hey, you okay? When you coming? 5 minutes. Okay, cool. See ya. Bye. Bye. To be honest, I quite feel inspired by you. When we first met for that meeting, you wanted me a part of the linguistic thing that you were doing. And I was quite shocked how you made all these books and stuff you were showing me. It was impressing, someone who was deeply invested into something that they found, can't find the word, but they were deeply interested into investing their time into something they wanted to build, because I never had that around me. I never had business women around me. I never had the experience of who knew what they wanted to do.
Yeah, I think it was for me being on the journey of what do I want to do in the mental health field, and being a pioneer in your own field of, you spend so long studying, you spend so long at uni, you learn all these different things, you learn all these different concepts, you learn all these different theories, and then you think about your own life and think, okay, how can I supplement that? What is the gap that I need to fill?
Mm-hmm.
And the only way I'd say I'd found that is when I looked internally. So I intrinsically kind of worked out, what do I want from my life? Where is it that I came from? Where is it that where I want to go? And how can I put those pieces of the puzzle together for my life? And
it takes a lot of discipline.
It takes a lot of discipline, and it also takes a lot of faith. You've got to walk by faith, because realistically, if I think about a mindful message and how it overcomes cultural and language barriers, that's a foreign concept to the westernized approach of how to deal with mental health and how to help people and support people in communities where, they don't know how to do that. Imagine saying to somebody, in our culture about mental health, they'd be like, what are you on?
It's a whole different stigma.
It's a whole different...
They don't understand it. They're like, oh, you're acting.
Yeah. Something, oh, look at you, you know what I mean? There's something wrong with you, or, someone's done this or something. Do you know what I mean? It's the
thing with our people, I feel is that rather than actually understanding yourself, what mistakes you're doing or what's missing in us, we are quick to point fingers at others. We think maybe the other person's the problem.
Yeah.
We don't look inside ourselves, and that's something I'm dealing with as well. Sometimes my surroundings, I go through difficult situations, and I'm very quick to point fingers at people.
Yeah.
Oh, this person is doing this, something wrong to me. Yeah. But then I forget to look internally, because in reality, our inner self is the reality outside.
Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, I think us people struggle with that.
It's acceptance though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to accept a lot. And I think, again, when we were talking about earlier about generational, breaking those generational cycles, breaking those generational traumas, it's accepting that a lot of stuff has happened.
It's quite hard, yeah.
It's heaviness. You're automatically born into heaviness because, this group of people or that generation did this to us, so then we have to take all of that on. But realistically, or that family said this, and you're navigating through so many different layers of just being who you are in a culture which has been so collectivized. So, for example, we grew up in villages, we grew up in tribes.
Yeah.
How are we then supposed to navigate into accept? How do we, work with this group of people? How do we work with that group of people?
But do you think we can change the older generation to maybe even molding into the idea of
I'll be
mental
honest,
health?
you saying that to me, my initial thought was, if you spend too long changing them, you spend less time looking at you. It's about the generations that
Yeah.
are going to come from you. Like, we're women, you know, we bring life.
Yeah.
And so when I think about that in itself, I'm thinking, well, I don't want to bring drama. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be able to
Have
change.
time.
You don't have time for that. So I think if, for example, my parents' generation, like, want to have that time to just listen.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's hard to. I think about, okay, so I don't have any kids, right? And a lot of the time, I'm nearly 30. I'm 30 in 5 months. That's 5 years. I really wish I was 30 in 5 years. I'm 30 in 5 months, and it's the whole thing. Oh, you're not married. You don't have kids yet, so I don't know.
It's what they're used to, right?
Yeah, but it's also the fact of listening. Okay, can you just hear me out first before you jump? Just hear me out first. But you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Just, that's the principle that I've always been, you know, taught up on and raised with. And even in, let's just say, counselling. So I did psychology and counselling for undergrad, and a lot of the time when we did role play, it's actually literally listening to that person, like holding them in a safe space. I remember. So this is the thing about, again, tying it back to about Asian families and growing up with that, is you automatically feel uncomfortable in silence sometimes.
Yeah,
because
100%.
Yeah, like, you grow up in a chaotic household, in it. So you just, if silence is there, something's wrong. And I remember when I was doing cognitive behavioural therapy training, the trainer, her name was Sean, she turned around and said to me, once I had to sit in about 3 sessions with somebody in silence for 60 minutes. Like, they didn't say nothing. And I'm like, so that's what happens. Like, sometimes people, like, it was a court order, you had to go, and you didn't say nothing. And I was thinking, how do you just do that? Like, don't you feel slightly uncomfortable? But it's a thing, you still have to train yourself to just, whatever that client needs.
So that was the whole process. You just had to sit there in silence.
Yeah.
Imagine, like, just being in the middle of, like, silence, with all your thoughts and everything.
I mean, that's what meditation does. That's something that I, like, preach every day.
How do you practice meditation?
I say in the morning, I have about 5 minutes where I'm, like, putting on a 5-minute morning meditation. I'm just anchoring my breath, like, as soon as I wake up. If I have clients or mentees booked in on the day, so I'm also a mental health mentor.
Okay.
That's assigned through the universities. So students who have DSA, so disabled student allowance,
Okay.
they are assigned either a mental health mentor or study skills to help them with, for example, essay writing, if they've got dyslexia, if they've got ADHD, if they have issues with all these different.
And how do you have time to handle all of these things that you do?
Okay, so I have to really live a purposeful life. So that is discipline on what I'm doing in the week. Like, if there's 168 hours in the week, I need to know what I'm doing for those hours. I spend a lot of time for myself, because if I'm not charged, then nothing is fantastic.
Yeah.
And also, even when I've been talking to a lot of the counsellors and the psychotherapists and the coaches that are coming on board to a mindful message, like, I'm having these top conversations with them about, like, it is a heavy field. Like, you still have supervision. So I still have therapy. I still have supervision. I still keep myself making sure that I can maintain, you know, my whole life.
100%, yeah, because you meet so many different energies, like
So many.
Yeah.
And when I think about, I'd say, my week and how I manage everything, it comes down to routine and schedule.
And do you normally have, like, a board or calendar? How do you do it? I feel like nowadays generation do struggle, as in myself, to make a routine. I struggle completely, and I don't really know how to lay out a routine.
Not to be biased, yeah, but you're from the Gen Z generation and you've got AI, so you've got power out there, literally, that will schedule your whole life with, that will prioritize everything. All you have to do, honestly, you know, you've just given me post inspiration. I'll just put on a post inspiration. I'll literally put down all the apps that you could possibly use. And what's actually mad, I did it was like I joined on a seminar, like a welcome talk with one at Aston University. And the host, she was amazing when she was asking me all these questions about students and how they can better their mental health when they're studying and where they're transitioning from sixth form to uni. And I did post a lot of apps and stuff that they can use to help them.
That'd be a good post. You can do a post for me.
I will do specifically.
Yeah. And then I'll repost it.
Yeah.
But other than that, you do yoga as well, and you're quite like into your living the healthy life, I say. Must pictures on your Instagram.
Is life. All I do today is like, because, okay, so I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism when I was 11.
Okay.
And so that's when I was studying in India. So I was getting really, really ill. So I was just like either on drips and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did a blood test and they found that my thyroid levels were really, really high for an 11-year-old. And then I was just on these tablets, like levothyroxine, for years. And then in COVID, you just think to yourself, I'm sure there's more to life than pills, in it.
No.
I've literally just jumped on CMOS, bladder capsules as well. They're really good.
What are those for?
So thyroid again, to help with your autoimmune system and everything.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I need to get myself checked out as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I take pills, like when the doctor prescribes me, but I don't actually look into it, like what's actually happening inside my body. I just like take what the doctors give me.
Honestly, and that's the same with like mental health patients. You literally, if you go into your GPs and you're saying, well, okay.
I don't really think GP people like quite go deeply into.
They're not trained to, or they're like, you're like, as a GP, you've got to understand the NHS in itself. They have 10-minute appointments. For somebody who is experiencing so much in a short amount of time, it's not the route to go down. And that's, I think, systemically. You know what I mean? Those are systemic changes that need to happen. Like, do you have mental health practitioners in your GP?
Yeah.
Like, are there like outsourcing? Yes, there's CAMS, there's IAPT, but are there any other places that you can go? There are, but it's about an investment. It's about people willing to pay for all of these support systems, and sometimes it's not.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because some people do struggle with financial.
I'd say but then it's also the fact of what choose your hard. Like, people will escape, so you'll go out, you'll pay for things like retail therapy is a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that is the thing.
You know, you'll pay for things that will make you great short term gratification, but long term gratification for you. It's self investment. What you're doing. Do you know what I mean? So like, I have to question a lot of my. So I've got a wealth advisor now to make sure I keep disciplined in what I'm doing, because I know I grew up in retail therapy was a thing. So now,
it balances your emotions for a couple hours, and then when you look back that you've spent this much money on clothes, and you're like, oh crap.
Not even that. It's more when you wear the outfit and then that's it. It's done now.
It's gone.
And like the shunk's gone. It's just gone.
It's gone. But you lived in India as well. That's something I never knew about you as well. How was that whole journey in India?
I mean, I'm not going to act like I was deprived in any sort of way. It was a very bougie school. It was a very bougie school. So I did like horse riding.
Which part of India did you go to?
Jalandhar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Jalandhar too.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think it was, if my memory, Model Town.
Yeah, Model Town.
Yeah. And it was Mayo World School.
Yeah.
It was a big, big, big school.
Yeah, school's quite decent. I feel like their study is quite progressed than the UK study. I feel like they're more advanced.
Again, it comes down to discipline. If I recall the hours that I spent studying towards the hours that I wasn't, it's a lot. Like, I had 2 hours tuition after school.
That's discipline.
That's discipline to its finest.
But it's so hard to actually get to a ground where you're disciplined, because I feel like you have to train your mind, because it fails 100 times, but then you have to get up and like
go
you
again.
Have to tell. It's like a machine, a brain. You have to like keep telling the instructions again and again until it starts
disciplining your thoughts. Yeah, because your mind is all based on all these thoughts and stuff. You've got to discipline your thoughts in a filter.
Yeah,
I think when it comes to self-discipline, self-control, so a mindful message blueprint on how. So, for example, when someone is referred to the service, we go through a 12-step process, and the 12-step process are designed around self-awareness and building those skills. I think people need exercises, like how you go to the gym and how you do reps and what you do in your daily routine at the gym is the same thing of how you're training yourself, your emotions, and how you express and how you internally reflect and how well you're doing that healthy. So when we're going through that 12-session process, what we do is look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I don't know if you Maslow's hierarchy of needs. No, because I know, you read, so ask you this. So it
I'm a new reader.
Yeah, well, it's a hierarchy, it's a pyramid, and a guy named Maslow created it.
Okay.
And what it looks like, at the top of the pyramid, there's self-awareness. At the bottom, there's basic necessities. And you kind of build yourself up to that point of self-awareness. I could go in depth, but then I'll be talking for ages and it's hot. So that's kind of the cliff notes, right? And the whole 12-session blueprint, what that does is puts exercises in on each of those things.
Okay.
So by the end of the 12 sessions, no hard feelings, but I don't want to see the clients again. I'm hoping that you've got all of the tools, the resources, the exercise that you need to help manage your emotions and manage your thoughts a lot better. When you're talking about self-discipline, it's habits. It's habits, Tarn. It's literally habits that you do in the day.
How do you, what's the first step towards discipline? What would you say?
Accountability. Like, you've got to take full on accountability for your rights and wrongs. Like, people just think, oh, when you're on a healing journey or, you're growing as a person, that when I think what I've found anyway, coming across a lot of people, is when somebody does wrong, when you've gone right all your life, you might be, the holiest of the holiest or the calmest of the calmest. But when you do something wrong, that's it. Self-destructive behaviors, self-sabotage, because you hold yourself so, so highly. And it's that humility. It's saying, okay, I accept every part of me.
Yeah.
Because truly, as humans, how are we supposed to connect? Like, we acknowledge that we ain't perfect. But taking that first step to healing is acknowledging that, take accountability for it. Take that responsibility for it. Okay, cool. How are we going to change that? And it's hard because now you're putting yourself in a vulnerable place within a stranger. So even being a mentor, being a therapist, being a coach, like, people are coming to me and being vulnerable. So how do I put that aside and say, okay, practically what we're doing? Do you know what I mean? Because realistically, I might not be here tomorrow is not promised.
Yep.
But if you've got the exercises and the tools, I've done my job.
Yeah.
That's all you.
That's on you now.
That's all you.
But then I think also love comes in there as well. When you start to accept your flaws, you learn how to love yourself as well.
Yeah.
I've learned that in my journey. Before, I used to really dislike myself, wasn't proud of myself, wasn't proud of the way that I looked or the way I spoke. But then I started looking at myself in the mirror, and then I got used to seeing that face. I started loving myself for who I am, rather than loving myself for something someone else sees me for.
I personally believe that, one, thank you everyone for sharing that with me, because that's vulnerable in itself. You stop seeing the lens of what critics have said to you or people have said to you over the years. You stop seeing or hearing that lens, or you stop hearing those voices of what has been said in the past or how people have seen you. You start seeing yourself for you.
Yeah.
And how God's made you.
Yeah.
And that's something where, no one can take away from you. So you got to keep, like I always say, keep 10% to yourself. Don't give everyone everything. Because realistically, how do you protect your heart in that instance? There's got to be some sort of way that you give that to something way, way bigger than you.
It's very important to have boundaries, I feel like.
100%.
I didn't know what boundaries were before.
Girl, neither do I.
Neither do I. Now we do. But in every situation, I'm like, there's a boundary, that's it. I'm not going to cross that. But yes, it's definitely important to have boundaries. And I feel like this generation needs to understand to have boundaries and not let people step all over them as well. It's a thing in this generation. I see quite a few that people just give, and it's okay. It's part of life. You should give, but then you should also know when to stop to protect your heart, like you said. So yeah.
So one, you grew up in the God a lot, so you understand the concept of seva.
Yeah.
So we've grown up with that whole concept of seva. We are providers, we just give. But what has taught you in your culture or in your religion to what the boundary to protect yourself? How have you learnt that?
To be honest, I am not gonna lie. I'm not quite religious like that, but
But I'm just saying insecure and stuff. So
ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਬੁਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ
those are values.
yeah, basically
Yeah.
this is what I've learned.
Yeah.
So there's no such thing as boundaries.
That's my point. There's no such thing as
there's no such thing as boundaries in our generation or in our culture or in our religion. We don't get told what boundaries are. We just get told these are the values. This is what we need to do. That's all. That's all I've learned so far.
But it's that term, innit? It's that term of boundaries. What does that mean? Like, how would you... I personally can't. I got up and be in Punjabi GCSE, but I don't even know what the word is in Punjabi.
Boundaries, I wouldn't give you... I can't give you, like, a full explanation, but, like, what I think boundaries are...
No, but, like, what's the term? Can you... like, there isn't a term, isn't it? Because that's the culture.
Yeah.
That's the language.
In Punjabi, there's no term, yeah.
So if there isn't a term and that's not the word there, that concept or that whole thing, that framework isn't going to be there.
So true, yeah.
So how would else you supposed to know?
True.
And that's why I can't, like, you know, when you learn so much about life and you learn so much about yourself and you go on a journey, you're never angry with anyone else. You're never angry with anyone else.
Like, I've had recent events where I've felt anger.
Yeah.
But then the people around me are quite spiritual.
Yeah.
So they said to me, the more you hold on to that moment, that experience that you've just had, you're just hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And that anger it's not gonna get you nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna help you in any way either.
Yeah.
So why hold on to it? And to be honest, obviously it's there sometimes, it, like, links around. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I've learned how to deal with my emotions. Like, I've maybe go for a walk or listen to a podcast or listen to a song, divert my mind, or even sit with it.
Yeah.
But then, like, I sit with it so I can understand, convince my mind or tell my mind that there's nothing that can be done to, like, sort this situation out, or there's nothing that can be done. So I can either spend my time wasting my life on it, or I can move on and put my energy into something positive and do something better in my life.
I mean, you know, when you just said to me there, you try to convince your mind. So, obviously, we're in Kent today. Beautiful. It's a beautiful view, you know. It doesn't even look like...
Quite hot, though.
It doesn't even look like the West Midlands.
I know.
As we've come up here, I've come up with my sister. And she's turned around and said about... What's that word that you just used?
What word?
So she's basically said that, you know, how to communicate when you're communicating with family, when you're communicating your emotions and about regulating your emotions and your thoughts, your processes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that fighting of those thoughts and those things. And she even said, she goes, it's like that Nipsey quote. She goes, when it said, would you rather be at war with the world or at war with yourself? So instead of fighting, so instead of convincing, you just let it go. And that's where meditation kicks in, because you're not anchoring on each thought and you're not anchoring on each emotion, because you understand, okay, that's made you angry, but the reason that it builds a stronghold, why it stays there and resonates there, is because you actually haven't let go of that situation or that thought or that process. You've just let it suppress.
So what do you think about divorce?
What about it?
Divorce in our culture?
I think if someone's really, really horrible to you, they're really, really mean, and they're choosing to be really, really mean, because everyone has a choice. If you are continuing to be really, really mean, then you will have the choice to leave. That's where freedom kicks into it. If you're asking me about individuals in themselves and marriage and how marriage works now, blessings, I have a lot of wives around me. I have a lot of, like, people who are happily married, and some who still go through the, like, motions, you know, like every couple does.
Yeah.
It's that communication. It's that thing of what is actually the problem. Where is this relationship headed?
You're both fighting against the relationship rather than fighting towards each other.
So yeah, it comes that thing, okay, of you're a team.
Yeah.
So as a team, what's the problem?
Yeah.
Whereas because all these different things cloud your judgment as a heated situation would, you're not actually seeing the actual problem. You're seeing the person or what's created as they've created this problem. And one thing I was watching, this show on Netflix that literally is so funny. It's called Jane the Virgin.
I've watched a bit of that.
It's so funny. And one thing is that they go to like premarital counseling at the church.
Okay.
And that's something where the head of the church then would explain why, you know, what is marriage, or is there anything that, you know, you want to work towards, and what's that sacredity of what you're doing. And I think if people understood that and just did that little bit, it would help so much, because people just think, I think sometimes if you're choosing out of loneliness or choosing because you might as well, just don't do it. Just wait. Just be patient. Do you know what I mean? Like, why do that to somebody else? You would not want to be on the reciprocal side of that. Like, do you know what I mean? You would not want to feel like, oh, I've settled, or I've done this, and like, don't do that to somebody else then.
But I don't think people are quite aware of what they do to other people.
That's self-awareness then, isn't it? And it's the thing, well, choose your partner wisely, because you are spending your rest of your life with them, and you are planting seeds in them, you are bringing the next generations to them. So choose that decision very, very wisely. And I think as well, when it comes to divorce rates and when it comes to that point, well, take a step back. So naturally, male, female, you're attracted to what the visual, the shell of your body, correct? So in that instance, it's that temptation. Again, are you choosing that person out of lust, or is it actually love? Because then that's a battle between your ego. It's something where you actually need to differentiate that and how self-aware of yourself. Are you choosing the right person out of the right things, or are you choosing the things that are good right now?
What we're talking about, like, as in generation.
Yeah, so we're about divorce and like sexual attraction.
Yeah.
Now you got to understand, if you're staying one person for the rest of your life, you are going to be some sort of waste that you need to be stimulated mentally, emotionally, sexually, like spiritually. These are all things that make you human. You are a woman, you are a man, you have needs, you have wants, but that needs to be communicated effectively. You can't assume. So a lot of the time, okay, this is just me personally, a lot of the time people think I would know what they're thinking. I am not a mind reader. Okay, I don't read minds. I want to put that really, really out there. Okay. I don't know what you're thinking. So if I don't know what you're thinking and you have an issue, I don't know how to fix it.
Can I say something? You know, when you go onto this spiritual journey, you stop assuming things.
Yeah.
Rather, you just sit back and, like you said,
you're calming the person,
and you, instead of wasting energy making assumptions, you're just sitting there being peaceful until like when the person's ready to come say something to you, then
that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Honestly, people really need to learn how to relax.
Yeah. They do.
They do.
I'm learning how to relax as well. I'm just on this journey of learning how to meditate, and
it's a BJ process.
Live a peaceful life.
Like habits that you want to put in. It's reading. It's getting comfortable with silence. It's getting comfortable with, you know, stop being so angry with yourself, letting go of a lot. You know, I personally know that every woman has a warrior spirit. So, you know, you protect yourself, you protect your people, you protect, you know, those around you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know me, I protect me and mine. And how I do that is making sure that I am healthy. Because if I know I am healthy, those around me, I attract healthiness, I attract those healthy relationships. And if it's not meant for me, it's not meant for me. So I'm learning that. I was on that journey of learning to let things go. That's something that I think everybody will struggle with at any point in life, because life will life you. Do you know what I mean? Life will come and take you through different places, but all you need to know is if that God put you in it, he'll put you through it.
100%. And how do you deal with like moments when you have like a trip?
When I'm tripping, I ring my support system without fail. I ring my support system, because I know that if I feel as if I'm overthinking, if I know that I'm about to do something crazy, I just need to be calmed down and have that rationality. And that's everyone. Like, I'll be honest, with women, we have cyclic hormonal and things can go a bit sideways. We understand, you know, men, we get it. Like, we can be very, very much to this. But then again, I had to have discipline. What was I eating? Am I having those anti-inflammatory diets before? Am I having my iron tablets before? These are things that girls and women don't understand. It's knowing the fact that how do you look after yourself during those hormonal changes. And even menopause, for example. Like, my mom, she'll struggle through regulating herself because those techniques, those interventions weren't there. So that's really, really, really important.
How's your relationship communicating with your parents or your people around you?
It's a lot better because I know how to learn to let go, to forgive a lot. Because sometimes, when you're at home, you have siblings and you have family, and you're automatically in your inner child self, and you just snap, don't you, sometimes? And it's learning that that person might do the same. And, somebody might be hungover, or, what I mean? It could be a bit mad, but it's learning to accept, let go, forgive, move forward. That's one thing my mum just always said to me when it comes to family values, just let go and move forward.
How do you deal with a person who's so stuck in their ways?
I don't.
But but they're your family, or they're really like close people. But
when you say deal with them, what do you mean?
As in like,
sorry, it sounded really broken.
Universe has kind of like stuck you on the same journey. You can't separate yourself from that person or that family member. How do you keep your state of mind in peace and still have them there and respect them?
So what you're saying is, how do you have a relationship with somebody who you feel you owe a lot to? Let's just say your parents, for example. If your parents have been absolutely horrible, just horrible, how do you continue your journey? Because no one's on your journey.
100%.
Your journey is your journey, nobody else's.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with your parents if they've been absolutely horrible to you, but you still want a relationship with them? You need to decide whether you want a relationship with them. Because if you're always in that conflict and you're always asking, like, you're just fighting yourself then.
It's just that toxic environment.
Yeah. So
keeps putting you back in that mindset.
Yeah. So what you would choose then is, okay, I would love to have a relationship with my parents. How am I going to maintain this relationship with my parents?
Maintain is the word that I was looking for.
Yeah, maintenance is like a vehicle. So how do you keep your MOT, everything checked? How do you regulate the oil levels and everything all right? You set in time, you set in periods. My Google Calendar has family time in there.
That is sick. I hate your calendar.
Because I'll be honest, if it went too much, I'm just overstimulated. It's just, okay, bye, I gotta go.
That's such a good idea to like make a proper calendar of what you're doing in a day.
I mean, when I'm on holiday, there's no schedule. It's a free for all. It's like great. But then when I'm meditating again, it's how you regulate yourself. It's a scheduling. But yeah,
is it like a paper schedule or like?
It used to be. So my lovely cousin Priya, she gave me a legend planner, and I really recommend it. Well, I'm going to start recommending the mindful message journals now. I'm not going to say anything else. But
yes, I do recommend that. Actually, I've gone through some of your posts and everything. They're so informative.
Thank you.
I actually read through them. Like, when you talk about like.
I hope so, because I put it in there and I'm like, I'm actually typing this. Like, I'm not actually putting ChatGPT on this.
I'm so proud of you, and like I look up to you because those that information, like I can't believe you actually put it down in like simple words for people to understand, and you get it translated as well in different languages.
I try to, yes. I'm trying to connect with people that can do that more effectively than I can. But when it comes to breaking it down, is that I was diagnosed with dyslexia in the second year of sixth form. So Mr. Sedgepal, big up Mr. Sedgepal, my favourite Nishkon teacher, said, listen, why do you always write to this like end of the page? So I used to write like a poem, and there used to be like a margin there. He goes, was there something wrong with this side of the page? Were you scared of it? And I was like, no, just when I'm flowing. He goes, just go get tested. So I got tested, and I was dyslexic, and a lot of the questions, even at uni, and no disrespect to any like lecturer or anything, but when you are, and I shouldn't say, but when a question is being, given, it should be as clear as possible.
Yes.
Some of them aren't. So when I'm writing essay questions, or when I'm doing something, I need it to be clear. And this is the thing, I have to be able to give information about mental health, about regulating yourself as clear as possible. Otherwise, it just gets, you have to have a mindful message.
How did you deal with like teachers at universities, like trying to make them understand that you're dyslexic, and that did you need extra help?
I needed extra help when it came to emotionally regulating the stresses of work-life study balance. So I was working 3 jobs whilst at uni, and again, having a family at home and them worried about me always. So it was navigating going back on the weekends and everything. Lecturers, weren't as supportive as I wanted them to be. There were a lot where I had to butt heads and remind them that I'm also paying £9,000 a year to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also reminding them that I'm not just an Excel spreadsheet. I'm in front of you as a human being, and I just need a little bit more support. So
And is that support given to you after that?
I had to knock on doors. Because I understood one thing. So when I was questioned by a lecturer about maybe you should just drop out, it was a do or die thing for me. I'm like, drop out and do what?
Don't you think like sometimes teachers or like lecturers can be quite demotivating? Instead of motivating the student,
It's systemic pressures again. It's systemic pressures. Like they've got their own deadlines, and it's like how they need to be supported in not draining their energy. If they've got a whole lecture full of people, even teachers, for example, like they need the biggest project. They put 30 kids in front of them. It's a lot of energy to put out there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you reserve that energy? How are you then effectively doing your job? How are you productive? So it's that self-care. And if it's not given to educators, then how is it going to be, transcribed?
But it's amazing to see that you're changing yourself to educate other people, like because you've been through like all of this.
I don't want to live in a world where people don't get educated in that way, because if you're not, then it's a bit of a horrible world, isn't it?
Yes, it is. What's the one thing you want to change in this world?
It's what I plan on doing. So for a mindful message, it's the mission to be Earth's most human-centric, multilingual mental health service. If I want something to change in the world, it's understanding for myself, one on my own journey, how to overcome these barriers, because I still have my own cultural barriers that I need to deal with. I need to overcome some language barriers, even when it's English.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes, I still need to understand things. So I want to be able to be a part of that. Again, when you talk about generations and legacies, that's something that I want to be able to say proudly that I've left behind. You know what I mean? That's something bigger than me.
100%. What's your description of a narcissistic person?
I'd say it's traits. It's a lot of traits that are, again, if you have an instruction manual, if you look for the DSM, I see there's these instruction manuals that even as psychologists, we have to look into and know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's characteristic traits, it's trauma, it's a lot of unhealed trauma. Like a lot of the time when you even speak to a narcissistic person or encounter one or being in a relationship with one, you'll notice that they're just really damaged. And the reason why you'll notice it as a person, or if you've been a victim of narcissistic abuse, is because you might be really soft inside. So you constantly feel that, no, I can help this person, or I can do this. Whereas that's the energy that they're feeding off. Mm-hmm. And it's so important that if you feel that you've been affected by narcissistic abuse, get that out. Because you'll end up picking up those traits in your other relationships and stuff, because that's the only love that you knew.
Yeah.
Because you think it's love.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And say, for example, if you want to help a narcissistic person,
love to help them.
Is there a way we could ever help them?
Yeah, you can. I think it's just encouraging that person you're not judged. Do you know what I mean? You're not, if you go to therapy, if you decide to say, you know what, I am genuinely know that there is a sickness in my heart, I don't have peace of mind, because these are I would say, internally that they're battling with. It's not so much. That's why, again, where I don't get angry at people, because I know it's a sickness of the heart. It's something that they are battling with internally, mentally. And if they genuinely want to have that help and see a change in their world, they need to, one, let go of control, because a narcissist is definitely very, very controlling. Yeah. And go into that room and be vulnerable. Just let go. And if you don't take that chance, how do you know you're not working towards it? And you'll notice the spiritual path that person's on. How submissive are they?
You start to notice every little detail about them. You know, when you go into your spiritual journey, I feel like when you sit back and you observe, you start to see the world for what it is, than what you have in your mind.
What do you mean?
When you have all these assumptions, oh, this person's like this person's like this. But when you sit back and observe people, they don't have to, they can even be faking it, but you can just see through people, like for who they are, what they stand for. Rather than just like having your own thought.
Yeah.
Thinking that this person's like this for what they are showing you.
When you're in such a abusive relationship, if you think you have been in a narcissistic relationship, you tend to become that person's counselor. You tend to try and heal that person, and it's about boundaries, like we said earlier. That's not your job. It's not. You can't save somebody. And unfortunately, like, that's just what people need to accept. So many people need to accept that, like, you can't save somebody else. As much as you may know, like, for example, you may know that maybe this is what they need to do. I know. I'm not.
But it's their journey.
It's their journey.
And they can only heal in
They can only tune in their old time as much as you want them and you want to fight for them. Like, you have to question yourself for why you're fighting for them so hard. Like, because there's something in you that you need to be fighting for too. Don't get distracted. Sometimes a lot of the distractions and stuff that we get in this world are distractions of what our true purpose is and our true fulfillment. And you're not finding that joy again or that fulfillment in anybody else. You're not finding that in nothing in this world will give that to you.
When you get distracted when you're doing a job or something, say you just get distracted by, I don't know, a car or something, I don't know, like anything. How do you deal with it?
I mean, I get distracted really easily, to be honest with you. But if I'm, for example, it's depending on the setting. Like, right now, I can hear crickets. I can hear the waves. Do you know what I mean? But it's about being present.
Yeah.
And it's literally, if I could give advice to anybody or even myself, like earlier on in life, is learn to be present, because you're not getting so distracted by your thoughts. You're not getting so distracted by other people. You're not so sensitive. You're not so sensitive to your surroundings. You know, you just find strength and power in yourself.
What's your thoughts on those two words, be strong?
Be, I'd say, is a verb. Was it a verb? Am I saying that in my English? Is it when you're being something?
Yeah.
You're actively doing it.
Yeah.
You have to actively be strong. So I think, okay, be, you have to actively do it. And then strong is strength. It's like, it's a characteristic. It's a value. It's something that's internal. And no one's going to teach you that or fight for you. So you've got to learn how to be strong in the sense of, you know, find strength in yourself every single day. What strengthens you?
And that's where discipline comes in as well.
Yeah, you actually need to learn. Like, you've lost so much weight. People saying that. I hear that. Make me feel I was like a big girl before.
Who I would think of, you're a grown, high-value woman, bro.
So when I was on my gym journey, I'll be honest, it changed me. I was so hypersensitive. I was really socially anxious before I started with, because I didn't know what I was doing. There were so many machines, so many different people. So you just like start off small. I think as a woman, again, you are still hypersensitive. So I used to just go to the women's section, do what I need to do, be on the stepper, be disciplined, keep going. At each time, like for example, if you've got 24 hours in the day, I genuinely had to keep switching to that motive of I've only got 24 hours in the day. So if I know that I'm spending X amount of time doing this to build up strength for my body, I can at least tick that off at the end of the day. Because a lot of things might happen really, really crap. But at least I can tick that off. For me, what have I failed to do my cup? Then I can at least know that if, you know, God grants me tomorrow, I've still got strength to carry on. Again, being strong. You've got to really do that before, after. It's an activity thing. You've got to prepare yourself for that in the future if things happen. Like, how do you be strong in the future for things? You've got to build bricks.
Yeah, before you leave, what's the one advice you'd give to anybody listening out there?
I'd say, yeah, be present. Learn to be present. Don't be so scared. Be strong. Do you know what I mean? Learn how to realize who you are. Because when you know that, I won't say anything to you, really, because you know you.
Thank you once again. And where can everybody find you on social media?
So me, you can find me on social media. So Jaskarn on my Instagram page if you want to reach out for any mental health support posts, any of that. The Mindful Message, you can find us on our website and Instagram as well. If you're a wellbeing service or you want your university or your service provider to get in touch with us, then reach out by that.
Thank you for coming here and speaking to me. It was lovely having you.
Yeah, I love
and thank you for being a part of my journey. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you took something informative out of this video, and I look forward in seeing you in the next episode. So if you do want to watch more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.